Hello everybody, Shalom from Jerusalem. Great to be with you again. We are learning this week our Torah portion. We are learning every week together the Torah portion of the week that Jews are reading all around the world. This week we're up to the third portion of the year. Jewish people just started reading the Torah again 3 weeks ago when we began with Bereshit, which means in the beginning. So we're in the book of Genesis this week in chapter 12. Beginning at verse 1, and it's fascinating. In the first sentence, we have these two words which come together called Lech-Lecha. Lech-Lecha. Go for yourself. It's interesting. Lech-Lecha sounds the same, and it's almost the same word. It's almost a repeat. But here the Torah is emphasizing straight away when Hashem, God, is speaking to Abraham, he's saying, don't just go, and we'll talk about in a moment where he's telling him to go, but this is for you. Go to yourself. Go for yourself. So what is this? This Torah portion this week is often what we term the Torah portion of Aliyah. The Torah portion of going up to the land of Israel, even immigrating to Israel. And we're seeing this week in the Torah played out through our patriarch Abraham and his wife, our matriarch Sarah. So what does it say? It says, and I'll first read it in Hebrew again, chapter 12, line 1, V'yomer Hashem el Avram, Lech lecha me'artzecha, me'moladatcha, u'mibeit avicha. 3 places that Abraham is told to leave or to go from your land, from your relatives, your big family, and from your father's house. It's interesting the order, and the Jewish commentators talk about it. Why in that order? Well, it's very difficult to immigrate. And particularly, we've seen over the centuries, Jewish people put tremendous effort and give up so much to make their home in the land of Israel. It is a holy, holy duty to settle in this land and to make your home here and to have children here. I did it myself alone just 20 years ago. My grandfather struggled and came to live in this land in Jerusalem. He was born here actually, but his parents brought him here from Ukraine in the early 20th century. So people, Jewish people, and you know it because you have supported Aliyah, you have supported the immigration of Jews and the return home from the 4 corners of the earth. And here we have this week the first Aliyah. And he's told, leave your land. Very difficult. Leave your family and your community. Even more difficult because they're closer to you. They're part of your heart and your soul. And leave the home of your father, which many people do. We all have to do when we come home to Israel. But it is a holy duty, and we want to live and walk those steps in the Holy Land. And what promise does Hashem, the Lord, give to Abraham? We read it straight away in verse 2. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And then, my friends, we see that ultimate verse that you speak of and that you know of, and that means so much to you as it does to us. It says, I will bless those who bless you, and him who curses you I will curse. Wow. He's told Abraham to pick up and leave to a land that he will show him. But he has promised him blessing, and he has said that all the nations around the world who bless you will also be blessed. What a blessing. And all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you. So they too are blessed, as the Jewish people are blessed. So this story of Aliyah, of coming to the land of Israel, is rooted in our very Bible, right at the beginning of the Bible, in the third portion, and continues today in a big way. Always between 30 to 40,000 Jewish people coming home to their roots, to the promised land every year, with support of people who are blessing them all around the world. We see also another separation in this Torah portion, and it teaches us a lesson for us all to learn. Abraham and Sarah are traveling with Abraham's nephew. His name is Lot. And we see here at chapter 13, line 5, we see something very interesting. It says here, and the land could not support them dwelling together. Lot had so much property, and flocks, and cattle, and tents, and people. So did Abraham. And he sees that they're starting to fight between the herdsmen, between the shepherds, they're starting to fight. So our Abraham, someone who seeks peace, what does he do? He says in chapter 13, line 8, he says, "Please, Lot, let there be no strife between me and you, and between our herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are kinsmen. We are brothers. We are relatives. Let us not fight. Let us separate. Is not all the land before you? If you choose to go to the left, I will go to the right, and if you choose the right, then I will go to the left." And Lot chooses to go towards the plain of the Jordan. He chooses a place which is full of water and a place where he can grow further his property and his wealth. But he doesn't realize there that also there is immorality and danger and people who do not behave as they should in those towns of Sodom and Gomorrah. But this is Abraham. He was willing to separate not only from his family and his community and the house of his father in order to go up to the land and to follow God. A great test given to him by God. But he was willing for peace's sake, for the sake of peace, to separate from his nephew so that there would be no tension and no fighting. He could continue on his path and Lot onto his. And we'll read next week that Abraham then does not forget that family relationship and goes back to save Lot in the time to come. So my friends, we learn a few things this week, a few important things. When we are given an instruction by God to pick up ourselves and to dedicate ourselves to living in the land of Israel, we do it even though it is terribly difficult. And Abraham set that example for us. He also set another example for us. When we see tension within our families, when we see tension within our communities, we seek a way to make peace. We seek a way to lower the tensions and to separate from what can become internal war and internal strife. And we know in our countries today and all around the world, we see that tension, we see that strife, and we must be like Abraham and seek ways to lower the flames and to take the path of peace. It's interesting, just in the last few weeks and even over the weekend, we are seeing more and more countries, Arab countries, former enemies of the state of Israel, reaching out their hands in the spirit of Abraham. And of course they call these accords, these peace agreements, the agreements of Abraham, these Abraham Accords. And how special that is, that even today, a country like Israel and its neighbors around us are following in the paths of Abraham and making peace. And long may that continue. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, a good Sabbath. Enjoy reading the Torah portion this week. It gives us great motivation towards continuing our efforts in Aliyah, in bringing home Jews to Israel and helping them integrate in their new world here at home. Thank you everyone, and I look forward to seeing you again next week and continuing to learn together. Shalom and goodbye.